Well, on the subject of voter suppression, we're going to bring in one of the most successful politicians in modern times to actually break through the two-party paradigm. We're joined now by former Minnesota governor and host of Off the Grid, Jesse Ventura. Jesse, thanks for being on with us.
Hi, Ben. Great to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the third-party limitations here. I got to tell you, I just tweeted out tonight, using the hashtag, by the way, not just two parties. NBC News tonight is calling Adrian Wiley in the Florida governor's race an independent, rather than even mentioning that he's a libertarian candidate. They have it on the screen. It's a Republican, Democrat, independent. You know, your success in becoming governor of Minnesota was fighting to break through this system. Do you feel for guys like Adrian Wiley when he's trying to do the same thing here?
Well, you know, I wish him well. It's a very difficult task. You know, the main thing, the key to any election is being involved in the debates. If the Democrats and Republicans exclude you from the debates, you have no chance at all to win. If they include you in the debates, then you have the opportunity. That's what happened to me. I was polling 10% at the primary. I was included in the debates, and 8 weeks later, I got 37% and won the governorship of Minnesota because I was allowed to compete. Well, Democrats and Republicans don't want to see that again, so they eliminate any third option from any debates. And that's the key. You have to be in the debates.
And they keep sliding the line, the marker on the debates as well.
They keep sliding the line. And something that I found interesting, Ben, you brought this up with Wiley, and, you know, Jesse, I know you've had some experience with this as well. But part of me thinks that, you know, independent is now becoming a synonym for libertarian. Do you think that's the case at all, or not?
Well, I don't know. You got two brands of libertarians, too. You got the capital libertarians that kind of believe in anarchy, and then you got the small libertarian, small L, who understand that there's a role for government. They just feel that it's too encompassing and goes into too much of our lives. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's libertarian. You know, it's a difficult thing. When I won in Minnesota, we were at that time the mecca of the third-party movement. We actually had, I think, 3 or 4 parties that were considered major, because you only have to get 5% of a statewide vote to be considered major. I tried to bring the Libertarians, the Greens, my Independence Party, all of us together. It was like trying to herd cats. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You know, they all had their individual agendas. And I said, look, we can all agree on one thing, campaign finance. None of us take the dirty money. Can't we build from there and come up with one candidate that we can all endorse, which instead of dividing our vote 3 or 4 ways, if we consume it into one, we're going to be a lot more successful. But it was so difficult, I just gave up on it because I had to do the job of governing.
It's a big job, too. Now, Jesse, there's a lot of talk about voter suppression in the media, but isn't our media part of that suppression when they don't talk about viable candidates, you know, kind of like we're discussing?
That's way more is them not talking about other candidates. We did a study in Minnesota, and voter fraud is virtually non-existent. Let me put it to you in layman terms. Have you ever met anyone who's committed voter fraud?
No.
No.
I haven't.
No. You have? You're the first person.
No, I
haven't.
I haven't. Yeah.
I haven't either. But yet I've met people that have drunk drive. I've met people that have been spouse abusers. I've met people that have robbed places. I've met all these other criminals. I have never once in my lifetime met someone who on election day went out and said, you know what? I'm going to try to vote in a different district and see if I can get away with it.
But you know, Jesse,
we're lucky to get 50% of our population to even vote.
Well, no, that's true. Let me ask you this.
Fraud.
Because election fraud, though, there are, you know, some serious, significant issues with it. Not in the way that media talks about it and politicians talk about it. We talk about IDs at voting locations, and that's all bull. We know that. But if we're sincere when we talk about it, there are issues like black box voting, electronic voting machines that could be hacked. I mean, there are significant issues that media never talks about.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I was getting to that. I said, if there's going to be voter fraud, It isn't going to come from some poor person, you know, down the street. And it's going to come major league. It's going to come through these computerized voting machines that can be hacked. And I believe there's already been major voter fraud with those hacked computer. People need to go back like Minnesota does with the individual ballots where you fill in the circle. Look at it this way. You've been doing that since first grade. If you're not capable of filling in a circle, you probably shouldn't vote anyway.
Well put, Jesse. Thank you so much for your time and your insight. It's always really fun talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.